Hello and welcome back to HodgeCUBElashi Live. Just kidding, this is not HodgeCUBElashi Live, but this is the HodgeCUBElashi Network. And welcome back to the Cube Counselor. I'm John. And yeah, this week will be a short episode. We had planned something else, but plans change, and that's okay. Just wanted to get a quick episode out and continue kind of the momentum that we have going. We thank everyone for the feedback and the comments, and on some Discord groups I'm in, and um, Twitter, Facebook. So yeah, things have been really great in that regard. So again, we always want to thank people for tuning in. So this week I want to talk about Cube Draft. No, not that fake Cube Draft where you draft pixels on the internet. I'm talking about real Cube Draft with real paper cards, the reason for the season, the reason that we're all here. And before we jump into what that means, do our icebreaker. So what Magic format are you feeling like this week? Are you feeling Brawl? Are you feeling like Commander? You feeling like you got a lot of friends around in a multiplayer game? Are you feeling tiny leaders like you're in the dumpster where nobody wants to play you? Just kidding. I like tiny leaders when it was around. I just want to throw that out there. If it had gotten more support and an aggressive ban list, more people playing. Yeah, so I'm feeling Cube Draft. Obviously, that was a cheater one. I'm feeling like the best way to play the best game. Just really enjoy the cube format, and that's obviously why we're here. So, let us know in the comments which format are you feeling like. But yeah, without further ado, why do I have this picture of these gentlemen on the screen? No, it's not just because they host my show on their channel, but it's also because this wonderful man here. The reason I even got interested in Cube, we decided to fire up a paper cube draft. Yes, you can place your mask over him there. No, he was not in a pile of noodles and meat, and when he drafted, he was meatless, noodleless. But yes, Mr. Husselfudge himself, Mr. Hodge, we decided to finally get together and have a paper cube draft, and we wore our masks, we washed our hands, we kept our distance. We were able to do it safely, both of us feeling well. Here in Illinois, for all its faults, Illinois has been doing pretty well, so we felt safe enough to get out in the community. Just us, but at his apartment. But still, it's a calculated risk, and we felt like with the numbers down here in Illinois and things going pretty well, and he and I both feeling well and being able to work from home, we were able to do that safely. So last weekend we were able to do that. I do encourage everybody else, when you're if you're feeling safe, do that. Otherwise, play over Skype. Find some ways to do that. There's all kinds of programs and Xmage and things like that you can look up as well. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about today, and I have some pictures. So last few times we've gone over a pack one pick one, so this time we'll go over a live pack one pick one. But before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about the format that we play. Again, I only mentioned one person, and myself, that we're playing. We play a cube that is geared towards the format of Glimpse Draft. And what is Glimpse Draft? You may not be able to read this if you're watching on your phone, but I'll read it for you. This is, again, Mr. Hodge himself turned me on to this format, and he gears his cube towards this because that's often how we get together, 2 to 4 people. Sometimes it can be hard to find those pods of 8 to draft, a cube with, but he has a 540 cube. And the way you break that up is you want to imitate as much as you can an 8-player draft. So what Glimpse Draft is it explains here that it's based on this card, Glimpse of the Future. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in hand, and the rest into your graveyard. So you open a pack of 15. You're going to open more packs because you are, in between each pick, you're going to burn, quote unquote, 2 cards. So in our version, again, following the lead of the designer of the cube, we do 20 cards and we burn 3. That way we're able to see more of the cube. We're able to get more synergistic draft decks. We're able to try, more different things. But initially we did do this, and we do the traditional glimpse format when we have 4 people. So yeah, you just repeat that. You burn cards in between picks. So we try to, as much as we can, not just hate draft each other, but try to say, okay, if I'm taking, I don't know, opposition, excuse me, what isn't going to make it, if this other person was 3 or 4 people down from you, what wouldn't make it to them? So you try to take, basically, the next most powerful cards that probably wouldn't make it. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes, you're rushing through a pick and you just kind of burn, the 2 cards you don't like or whatever, stuff like that. So, but we try to keep it, we try to talk about, what are our burn strategies and things like that, so that we're not just hate drafting each other like, oh, I bet he picked a black card. There's a black card missing, when this pack comes back to you. So you're going to get the same pack a couple times. So again, it's not exactly like a real draft, but it does imitate, an 8-person pool. You do end up with a pretty synergistic draft. You kind of find your lane where you're supposed to be, so to speak. And again, it's actually a lot like drafting with other humans. They're unpredictable too, right? They might just take a card that they like, or maybe they're not familiar with the format, so they grab, this equipment that doesn't really work with their draft set. So I don't think it's entirely unlike, other cube drafts. I haven't actually drafted a cube with 8 people other than online, so I'm interested to take part in that in the future. But we do it this way. I was a little bit skeptical at first, I'll be honest. I thought it would just kind of be overpowered decks. But again, I don't think it's really worked out that way. I think usually each player has pretty powerful decks. We've been playing best 3 out of 5 just to kind of give the decks more of a chance to be played. We both definitely seem to favor playing with cards we haven't played before, or pet cards and things like that too. So there is still a fun element to it, and we usually draft a couple times so we can see. So that's the basics of Glimpse Draft. You can look up, Glimpse Draft for Cube. There's tons of articles on it and things like that. So you can definitely look up information on that. And I will include in the show notes a link to his cube, but here's his 540 cube that started out as a powered cube and now is an unpowered vintage cube. And we can kind of just go over real quick. Green ramp, red and white aggro supported. Blue artifacts matters, and some other like spells matter, synergies. So there's other ones based on the multicolored cards. Powerful colorless cards. Always kind of tweaking and changing with each set that comes out, so that's fun as well. Aristocrats is supported in this cube as well. There's also a lands matters sub-theme. There's a in particular, and this will play into my draft coming up here, there's a equipment matters sub-theme as well that he's trying to work on, and we talk about often, what's going in and out of his list. So that's just a brief overview. There's Wildfire and Burning of Zinyi, so there's Armageddon, Ravages of War. Powerful blue cards, opposition, control magic, things like that. So that's just to give you a quick overview. I will include a link in this if you want to look at his cube, give suggestions, follow him on Cube Cobra. I think I've mentioned briefly, but since this is going to be a shorter episode, this is a wonderful site, CUBEcobra.com. If you're interested in looking at people's cubes, sorting things, you can play test. You can do a little draft here. It's a wonderful site designed by Gwen Decker and some other wonderful people. It's an open source, so he gets a lot of help, and he's very adamant about all the great help that he gets from the community. So it's a wonderful site. It's awesome. Everything you would want for sorting and organizing and setting up your cube, which hopefully in the future I have one that I've been trying to set up for several months and haven't gotten to, that is on here as well that we'll get to go over. But so that's basic Glimpse Draft, basic glimpse at the cube that we drafted. And so here's our pack one, pick one. So again, we're taking 20 cards. We want to see more of the cube. So that's how we draft. Again, some people might think that that's strange, but hey, you know, again, there's a million ways you can play Magic. It doesn't have to be 15 card packs. People get really focused in on that, but for this style, I actually think it works much better. Again, you get to see more of the cards. It's a 540 cube, so it's a very large cube. Well, and I guess a lot of cubes are about that size, but you know, it's a larger cube. It's not a 360 or 420 or whatever. So what are you looking at here? What are you gravitating towards? And I'll give people a few seconds. I obviously know what I took, but what do you think I took? What would you take? And what did I burn? Again, I'm burning 3 cards here, so that's pretty significant. And then a sub-question to that, what do you think I ended up in? What do you think was the final deck? What did it look like based on what you picked? All right, so what I went in, I was joking with him because we were talking about some changes, and I had a certain thing in mind. If I opened certain subset of cards, I was going to go for it, and that was Embercleave and some other equipment that he added. However, the other cards that I'm looking at are Eureka, which I don't really like, but it's powerful, Upheaval, the 2 Mana Dorks, and Wormcoil Engine, I think are the ones that stand out for me. Now, I've drafted white aggro. I've seen other people play white aggro in this cube, so I know that, you know, that is powerful as well. I know the Tinker's in the cube, so Sphinx of the Steel one should have been on my mind, but I'll be honest, you know, I missed that. But you don't always want to take the payoff before you have the cheat card. So I decided I was going to be disciplined. It was the first draft. We haven't drafted together in months. Haven't done a paper cube. We do sometimes put stuff on the line, you know, cards or things like that. So in this case, we had, you know, a small wager going. So I was like, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to take Wormcoil Engine. Fits in a ton of decks. Great card. You know, if you don't have exiling removal, it's a pain in the ass. Great against aggro, things like that. So I went ahead and took Wormcoil. So again, going with the theme here, where do you think we ended up? Well, I burned Upheaval because that's insanely powerful, and that's definitely going. That was probably should have, you know, a lot of people would first pick. I burned Eureka, and I believe I burned Oracle because again, I thought that was super. No, maybe I did burn Kefnet, just because I was like, well, that only leaves him with one blue card, and blue cards do go pretty high. So I can't remember exactly, but I know it was Upheaval and Eureka. You know, very powerful cards. You know, would definitely put him into a pretty powerful, you know, way to overpower our Wormcoil. But yeah, but here's where I ended up. He passed me back. Where is it? The Embercleave. So you know what? I said that's a sign. I should have just taken it right away and forced it, although I didn't think I wanted to pass a Wormcoil. I didn't even actually end up playing the Wormcoil. And again, going along with the theme here, how do you think I did following that? There was obviously cuts here. This is too large. I got great fixing. That's one thing that might be a little bit irregular with this. We're seeing 20 cards in a pack. We don't necessarily, I don't think in talking to him that we aggressively burn land. So you do sometimes get the fixing pretty decent. But that, you know, again, that's a minor issue. And again, I'm not sure if that's 100% true every time, but so yeah, I just started seeing, after I took Embercleave, I just started seeing a lot of the good white and red cards, and probably have too many spells and not enough creatures, but I ended up cutting Mothra. If you're not familiar, Frontier Warmonger gives your creatures menace when it attacks. There was quite a few cards I wanted to try. Again, the equipment sub-theme matter. Oops, maybe I need to zoom in here so people can see some of these cards, but some of the cards that I favored were to try this because, again, we've talked about this. We want to see how it works. If we draft this with other people, you know, I certainly want to play my part in making this, you know, as good as it can be. So I wanted to try Luris. That's another new one. Um, Sunforger, if you don't know, is gets you a Boros spell and play it for free when you unequip it. Um, that's a card that was recently added. Nahiri discounts equipment, Fervent Champion over here, discounts equipment. So I wanted to try, the theme. I said, you know what, we've talked about it the last week or so. He was excited about it. I'm going to try and draft it. And in this case, I felt like I could kind of force it. So I did. I cut Mothra, I cut Luris, even though I wanted to try it. I tried, I figured I'd bring in Mothra if there was a heavy removal or something like that, just to try it out. That's just, first off, it's a sweet version of Luminous Broodmoth, and sometimes that draws me to cards, and I wanted to try it. I also wanted to try Elspeth's Son's Nemesis. I think I ended up cutting Gideon just because I have so many, my curve is getting pretty high. And I wanted to try to stay at 16 lands. Probably shouldn't have, I'll be honest. That got me a couple times. I actually cut Skull Clamp because I don't want to be killing off my 1 toughness creatures, even to draw cards. That might have been a mistake too. Incinerate, Arc Trail, a couple other ones. I think I boarded in Burst Lightning. So I had to get a ton of cuts, but I probably should have took a picture of the final deck, but just wanted to snap a picture. But I'm kind of rambling now, but just want to kind of go over where I ended up. It was, very fun. I was glad to get out there. Felt safe again. I wore the mask the whole time, and thought it would be more uncomfortable than it was, but it wasn't so bad. So I do encourage people to wear their masks while they're out there at the very least. Did I cut anything from here? I don't think so. I think I ran all the 1-drops because, I definitely was the aggro. He ended up on Blue Artifacts Matters with a Tinker sub package. And we played 5 games. We went to 5 games. I ended up taking it down. Woohoo. But part of what I wanted to highlight in this video is just the excitement I had about getting back to drafting in paper. Had a great time. Really appreciate him, curating this cube and all the effort and money, really. NBC cards like this that he's put into this. And just also wanted to focus on, yeah, I took Wormcoil first. I could have been the Tinker Artifacts Matters deck or whatever with stuff like that. I don't remember what was second, but I think I took, I don't even know, a 1-drop or something like that. Maybe Skull Clamp. I don't even remember. But you can play what you want in Cube and have fun with it. You definitely, we don't get to play often, so winning is not my #1 priority. Of course, it's fun to win, and I got a Phyrexian Arena, I think, out of it. So that's great and everything, but over the lifespan of when we play, I'm sure that'll average out. So it's not really about that. Just play what you want to play, and I was glad I was able to try this out. I did not ever get to cast Sword of Dungeons and Dragons, so that was a bummer. A lot of the cards, even in 5 games, I didn't actually get to play. So live to draft another day. But and again, my first pick, I didn't even end up playing, and the deck felt great. Probably it's hard with the equipment sub package, even though I maybe needed like more token cards, or I don't know, I could have had Lingering Souls at one time. Just to get some more bodies out there and things like that. Maybe less burn and just kind of sideboard into that if they have a heavy removal deck. But it was it was very fun. I drafted what I came there to draft, and even though you don't always want to just force things, sometimes it is fun to do that. It was very hard for me to pass a lot of green cards. I'll be honest with you on that. I saw a lot of great green cards. Broke my heart, but wanted to try something different. Was able to do that. It was pretty successful. Felt pretty good. So we did fire up another draft. I'll go a little bit quicker with this one. And thanks for hanging in for this different type of episode. So for the next one, again, 20 card pack. Yeah, what do you think I took? And what do you think I burned? And this one ended up strangely as well, I'll just tell you. What do you think the deck I ended up on based? I really wanted to go Aristocrats. I didn't feel like Falcon Wrath Aristocrat was definitely where you wanted to be to get in there. I've drafted that a couple times in his cube. Really love it. The additions that he's made in recent sets have gotten such good aristocrat cards, and I really think it's viable. Again, his cube started out as a powered cube, and I would say it's, by listening to shows like Cube for Two and the way they kind of rank cubes, he's probably like a tier 1.5. Not extremely powerful legacy, but I mean it does have some powerful stuff, but also can fit in those strategies that definitely don't work in like a vintage cube where everything's just insanely powerful, or even like a high powered legacy cube. So Aristocrats is very good in this. He just beat me with or almost. I guess we went to 5 games, but with Artifacts Matters, and we were talking about this Tezzeret, so that kind of made me want to try that and reverse that on him. Treasure Cruise, good build around. Time Warp, good, but I did kind of get Aristocrats in my mind, and I went with Bitter Blossom. I think I first picked that before. Just a card I really like, and again, I think he has some synergies in here, Skull Clamp and Opposition and other things that that make it really good, and so that was kind of where my mind was at. This is where we ended up. I'll zoom in just a little. He passed me the second pick, Soul Herder, and I just love that card. I just couldn't resist it. I said I want to be Blink. I did end up playing the Bitter Blossom. I got Opposition kind of late as well. This was probably didn't need to be there. And I think this one is. No, I think I had a couple cuts here. And I'm sorry again, I should have taken a picture of the final deck, but the final list, I think I cut Cryptic for too many blue. I think I cut Teferi. I think I cut one or both of these Angels. I cut Mothra again, was trying to play that. And a couple other ones along the way. Bloodghast, I think. Maybe Jason moved to the sideboard. So I felt like I was kind of weird, but I did get a lot of good fixing again. I did want to try. Again, I was mostly focusing on blue-white because of this, but then I had the Bitter Blossom. I got a couple other black cards. I felt like it was kind of a free splash. I have Solemn and other things. I also really wanted to just try Triskelion and Soul Herder for kind of an unexpected combo that I don't think he or I had really seen before. And then I also drafted early. Gunk Slug is from the mystery boosters, the proxy or the test cards. It puts Gunk cards that are basically blank cards that cycle for 4 mana into the other player's deck. He put this in a while ago when the mystery boosters came out. This is, I think, my first time to play it, and was just excited. And boy, did that pay off! That was so fun. One of the things this is one draft. I don't have the best memory, but I will definitely remember that. I think at one game, I think I soul herded it, ephemerated it, maybe even so, and then the initial trigger from when it came in. So I think I think the most I got was 9. I was shooting for 12. So each time it puts 3 of those gunk tokens. We put them in the regular sleeves so that they look like regular cards. You shuffle them in to the other player's deck. And then I think one game he ended up with 2 in his hand, and it was kind of a funny thing, like, oh, you got me. We didn't even read the rest of the card, forgot that they cycled for 4 and not 2, so it was kind of funny. So that was great. That's what I was kind of, the dreams that I was trying to pull off was blinking Baleful Strix, which I got to do as well. Got the Blink of Thraben Inspector. Never got the Triskelion, just probably too much mana. Was talking online with some people. I passed a Mold Drifter, which is good in a blink for a Consecrated Sphinx. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, as I think people are kind of down on Mold Drifter, but would have been good in this deck. The opposition was probably overkill. It didn't really work. I ended up boarding it out. So he got me with Mono Black Devotion in 5 games. I had some questionable draws that I took, a couple mulligans, but really he just hit with, he's added some really good cards for that strategy as well, which I don't think I mentioned when we went over his cube. So we'll be a little more brief in this one, but this is a fun one that I'll remember for a while. I love Soul Herder. I love the Blink strategy. I got the Ephemerate. I think I ended up passing a Flicker Wisp, which he probably burned on me. But that's okay. had some great cards. Counterspell was like a huge all-star. Was able to counter. I think I bounced a Gary or something, or a Phyrexian Obliterator maybe, and was able to counter it on the way back down. Or Geralf's Messenger, I think it was. Remand was really good. Yeah, I was really happy with how this deck came out. It went down to the wire. Both of our matches went to 5, and we're really close. Um, it was again a fun day that I just kind of wanted to highlight, and also kind of just talk about some picks. Let me know again in the comments. I mean, what do you think? Would you be in favor of the 20 card packs? Do you think that's too much? Again, I think after the first pick, it levels out pretty quick because you're burning 3 cards. But again, you're seeing more of the cube, so you're a little bit more open to, especially in those early packs, kind of taking different things, trying different strategies, seeing. Um, again, I've really enjoyed it the times that we've done it. We've been able to get some synergistic decks and really feel like we're drafting a real deck and sitting in a real seat. And we see more of his cube because the 9 cards of 15 I think comes out to 360. So there's a significant portion of the cube you won't get enough of those equipment matters, or he has lands matters cards that you just won't see. If you don't see it more of the cube. So I like it, and did just kind of want to highlight that today. So I also encourage you to check out his and our mutual friend Rich's show on Monday nights. They go live on Twitch, so I do include their Twitch link in this. But just want to kind of highlight today part of why I played Magic back in the day was with this gentleman here and some other friends. We used to play at a gas station where a couple of us worked late into the night. I got back into Magic a couple times after leaving in the early 2000s, and now that he's come back and really pushed me to play this format that I wasn't as familiar with, just kind of wanted to highlight that's I think part of the journey of Magic, and part of what makes it enjoyable is those you play with and those you meet. And again, I wouldn't even be doing this show if not for that. So did just kind of want to highlight that. He's obviously somebody I mentioned because we're on the same network here together. But give him some time and some praise for the awesome cube that he's built, and I had a great time this weekend. I hope to do it again soon. Try not to push it too much. Things are still unsure, and again, our state is doing pretty well, but want to make sure that we're being respectful and not pushing it too much. But it was good to get out. Hadn't really been out to really socialize too much in the last few months. So hopefully you all are staying safe and staying sane out there, finding a way to engage in Magic, in a safe and healthy way. And of course, we want to encourage people to let me know what you would think. Again, we didn't really go over any plays or anything today, but let me know what you would picked. Would you have taken Mystic Confluence there? Would you have taken Upheaval, in the other pack? Because I do really appreciate the feedback. It really helps me. As the tagline of the show is, we get better together. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and